The wedding hall glittered beneath hundreds of crystal chandeliers. Golden ribbons draped across every pillar, fresh white roses covered the tables, and a string quartet played softly as elegantly dressed guests laid over glasses of expensive champagne. It was the kind of celebration people dreamed about for years, a luxurious event where every detail had been planned to perfection. Elena stood near the entrance, quietly watching the room fill with relatives and friends. She wore a simple navy blue evening dress that looked modest compared to the sparkling gowns surrounding her. She never cared much about appearances. While was competed over designer brands and jewelry, Elena believed respect was worth far more than diamonds. Her husband, Andrew, walked over carrying 2 glasses of sparkling water. "You've been standing here for 10 minutes," he said with a smile. "Everything okay?" She accepted the glass and nodded. "I'm fine, just looking around." He kissed her forehead. "I'm glad you come." She smiled back, though something felt strained. The guest list seemed unusually selective. She noticed elderly neighbors from the bride's side arriving one after another. Distant cousins she had never met before were being welcomed warmly. Business partners, old classmates, and even people who hadn't spoken to the family in years had received invitations. But one face was missing. Victor, Andrei's older brother. Elena looked around again, convinced he might simply be running late. "Has Victor called?" She asked. Andrei's smile disappeared. "No, maybe traffic." He hesitated. "I don't think he's coming." She frowned. "What do you mean?" Before he could answer, someone called his name from across the hall. He squeezed her hand. "We'll talk later." Then he disappeared into the crowd. Elena watched him leave, a knot forming in her stomach. She had known Victor for almost 5 years. He wasn't wealthy. He didn't wear tailored suits. He still lived in the small village where the brothers had grown up, managing the family farm after their parents passed away. Every morning he woke before sunrise, worked until dark, and rarely took a day off. His hands were rough from years of honest labor. His boots were usually covered in dirt. His clothes were practical instead of fashionable. But Elena had never met a kinder man. When she and Andrew were newly married and struggling to renovate their apartment, Victor drove 4 hours with his old truck full of lumber. "I had some extra wood," he had said. Only later did Elena discover he had sold part of his harvest to buy those materials. When Andrew lost his first job, Victor quietly paid their electricity bill without telling anyone. When Elena's mother became seriously ill, Victor traveled overnight just to donate blood because her rare blood type matched his. He never asked for recognition. He simply helped. To Elena, that was the definition of family, which made his absence impossible to ignore. The ceremony began. The bride entered in an extravagant white gown decorated with thousands of tiny crystals. Cameras flashed from every direction. Guests stood and applauded. Elena clapped politely, but she kept scanning the room. Still no Victor. After the vows, everyone gathered in the grand reception hall. Round tables overflowed with seafood, imported cheeses, expensive wines, and towering floral arrangements. The atmosphere grew louder as music replaced the quiet elegance of the ceremony. Elena finally found Andrew standing alone near the balcony. She walked over. "Tell him the truth." He stared at his drink. "What truth? Why isn't Victor here?" He remained silent. Her voice softened. "Andrew." He closed his eyes. He wasn't invited. For a moment, Elena thought he had measured him. What? He wasn't invited. She blinked. There must be some mistake. There isn't. She looked at him in disbelief. Who decided that? The bride's parents. And everyone agreed. He said nothing. Silence was answer enough. Elena felt her heartbeat quicken. "They excluded your own brother." They said. He stopped. What did they say? His shoulders sank. They said he'd embarrassed the guests. Elena couldn't believe what he was hearing. Embarrass them. They called him. He swallowed hard. A village bumpkin. The words hung in the air like poison. Elena stared at her husband. And you let this happen. I argued. You accepted it. I didn't want to ruin the wedding. As she looked away before anger cold show on her face. Across the room, later echoed as waiters poured champagne. The celebration continued as though nothing were wrong. As to excluding Simeon's own brother because he worked on a farm was perfectly normal. And her later speeches began. The bride's mother stood proudly with a microphone. As she thanked relatives, business partners, friends, neighbors. As she praised successful people, wealthy people, educated people. Then as she lied. You know, as she said loudly enough for the room to hear, we wanted this wedding to be elegant. Some people simply wouldn't have the atmosphere. Several guests chuckled knowingly. One elderly aunt asked, who? The woman smiled smugly. Indra's country brother. Later spread across the hall. I heard he still drives that ancient truck. Someone added, and probably would have worn muddy boots. Another guest lied. He would have tucked the dessert forks or gardening towels. More later. Even people who didn't know Victor lied simply because everyone else did. Elena looked around the room. No one seemed uncomfortable. No one defended him. Not one voice said, enough. Instead, they enjoyed humiliating a man who wasn't even there to defend himself. The bride herself joined in. I didn't want the photographer editing dirt out of every family picture. The table erupted again. Elena slowly placed her fork on the plate. Her appetite disappeared. Every cruel joke revealed something far uglier than arrogance. It revealed character, or rather, the lack of it. S.H. remembered the first time S.H. had visited Victor's farm. His roof leaked. His kitchen cabinets were over 20 years old. His pickup truck barely started. Yet when they arrived unexpectedly, he insisted on feeding them first. He cooked potatoes from his own garden, fresh bread, ham meat cheese, and vegetables he had harvested that morning. Before anyone else took a bite, he quietly packed several bags of food for an elderly widow who lived nearby. S.H. can't work anymore, he explained. So I help. No cameras, no applause, no audience, just kindnesses. Now S.H. compared that memory to the people surrounding her. Designer watches, luxury handbags, perfect smiles, empty hats. The speeches continued. Someone tasted wealth, someone praised status, someone joked about keeping standards high. Every sentence pushed Elena further from the celebration. Then S.H. noticed something else. On the large gift table sat dozens of expensive boxes wrapped in shiny paper. Near the back rested her own gift. Simple, elegant, almost unnoticed. Inside wasn't jewelry, or artwork, or cash. It contained legal documents. Documents transferring ownership of several investment accounts worth millions of dollars to help secure the groom's struggling family business for future generations. A surprise S.H. had spent months arranging. No one knew, not even Andre. S.H. wanted the gift to remain anonymous until after the honeymoon. S.H. wanted it to feel like hope rather than obligation. Looking around the room now, S.H. wondered whether these people deserved even a fraction of that kindness. The answer came quickly. No. Her phone vibrated. A message. It was from Victor. Hope the wedding is beautiful. Tell Andre I'm happy for him. I couldn't make it because I wasn't invited. Don't worry. Maybe it is for the best. Have a wonderful evening. No anger. No bitternesses. No complaint. Just grace. Elena stared at the message for several seconds. The man they had met was comforting her. While those inside the ballroom celebrated themselves. S.H. slipped the phone back into her purse. Across the room, the bride's father raised another toast. Family is everything. Applause filled the hall. Elena almost lied. Family. They had abandoned their own blood because he wasn't polished enough. At that moment, something inside her chunked. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly, like a door closing forever. Sh stood from her chair. Andrew looked up. Where are you going? Sh smiled gently. I just need some air. Sh walked slowly toward the gift table. Every step felt lighter than the last. Sh picked up her beautifully wrapped present. No one noticed. The guests were too busy lying, drinking, and congratulating one another. Sh held the gift for a moment. Inside rested the future they believed they deserved. A future Sh had built with years of careful planning, wise investments, and sacrifices no one had ever seen. Then Sh turned toward the exit. Without making a scene, without raising her voice, without a single dramatic word. Sh simply walked out of the ballroom, carrying her gift with her. Behind her, music continued to play. Glasses clinked. People lied. They believed they had won. None of them realized that the greatest gift of the evening had just quietly walked out the door. I felt like, I can also expand part 2 to a matching 1,500,000 word continuation with the revenge, the concealed deep guarantees, and the family's downfall.